Welcome back, Addicts. I'm Michael,
And I'm Josh.
and we're reviewing a movie today.
Yes, we are. Mission Impossible, in fact.
The newest one.
Fallout. Now
Yeah.
Fallout 76, although they're equally as good.
Yeah, we're we were a little bit disappointed because we went to the movie. We saw the good reviews, on Rotten Tomatoes or whatever other sites. The critics were pretty raving about this movie for the most part, saying it's one of the best Mission Impossibles. I think I was bought in like 30 minutes into the movie, and then after that point, I just turned to Josh and be like, "This chase scene has been like 5 minutes, and
It's
I'm
like
pretty
literally
bored."
him running on a roof and nothing's crashing down around him. Like, nobody's shooting at him. He's just...
It's running. It's towards
Like
the
that.
later half of the movie,
Yeah.
but there's also a chase scene like before. I don't even. So yeah, I'll go into like the plot of this movie.
Yeah, before we
It's,
go into our opinions.
yeah, it's an action movie. So the plot's pretty by the numbers. There's a nuclear threat. They have to try to save the nukes. Get the nuclear material before the terrorists drop off a bomb or whatever.
Yeah.
You have the return of the bad guy from, I don't know if he's the last movie or a couple movies ago.
I want to say I think it was Ghost Protocol he was in, but it might have been the last one.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's been in it since the beginning, though, because he's the voice that gives the missions.
Yeah, so he's in this movie. He's kind of one of the antagonists. You have Superman, Henry Cavill in this movie too, and like the CIA, and you have many different factions. But basically, they're just trying to get the uranium or plutonium. Plutonium, yeah, whatever it is. Who cares? Nukes. And then you have kind of 8 different side plots. But the main one is is Ethan Hunt evil? And you kind of see that in the trailer when it's like, the government has betrayed him so many times. What is he going to do or whatever?
Yeah, there's, that's just me, the feelings for this movie are still so mixed because there's a lot of things that, visually, they were fine. As an action movie, a standard action movie, it was good.
You had some cool scenes. The helicopter scene was...
and their interaction, the charisma between the different actors is pretty good. There are a couple times where they have some jokes, and which is fine because the other ones kind of had some funny moments, but this one it was I don't know, it just felt a little off in this one. But overall, I think just the plot, like Michael said, in the trailer, they kind of advertise it one way, and then at the very start of the movie, they put their twist right in your face, and they don't try to hide it at all, which is probably one of the things that I did like, that they didn't try to fake you out. They didn't oh yeah, we put it right here, and then it's oh yeah, but you didn't see that coming, right? No, they did blatantly state it, I think, or at least if I would hope for everybody it was blatant, but yeah. I don't know. There was just, like I said, it was just really mixed in terms of... Yeah,
I would describe the movie as a really winding path. It's boop, 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 and it gets to a predictable destination. I mean, my favorite scene was probably the fight scene with the knives, and then a random gun with Tom Cruise. The hand-to-hand, that was the best.
For me, it was the bathroom scene.
The bathroom scene was up there, too.
Yeah, because, man, that Asian dude... He fucking wrecked.
Yeah, we never find out who he was.
Yeah, unfortunately not. I mean,
But the finale was very cringy. I was this is going on forever, and it's so stupid.
There was, it's kind of the ending fight is kind of unbelievable in a sense because it's him. Well, I want to. Okay, I'm not going to say it here. We'll go into it in the later part in case you want to see the movie. But, I don't know, just between the two characters, the actors playing them, you look at their size, you look at, different factors, and you're just that's a little unbelievable, how it plays out, and then the fact that there's no real stakes, besides, the thing that you obviously know is going to happen in their favor. It's, underwhelming a little bit.
Yeah, and, well, I mean, it's the 7th movie in the franchise, so you know what's going to happen. He's not going to... Tom Cruise just still wants to make more movies, He's not going to suddenly die.
Yeah. I mean, it's not so much that, it's just, I don't know. In the other ones, it seemed like they did a little bit better job of at least having a cool fight. Even if you know, what the end result's going to be, ultimately, it's still that on your edge, action. It just didn't seem like they had that. Which, not to say the action wasn't bad, it just, like, from the previous ones, it seemed it wasn't as spectacular, I guess you could say. Like, the scheme
It
of
was like
things
they were
wasn't
trying
as
to be
big.
realistic, but then in the last scene, it's not.
Yeah, I know
ridiculous.
Michael, actually, you made a comment where you said there was a point where it broke your immersion a little bit.
Yeah, we'll get into that. I guess we could just go into our ratings, and we'll go into like why our spoilers and why we gave the ratings.
So we're actually gonna show off like the new one that we came up with, which I think both of us agree with it. It's can't believe it's not better. Because, you know, the other ones have been good, not like great, but they have been like higher tier action movies that we really enjoyed. But this one just didn't get to that same level.
Yeah, so the scene, I have many problems with this film, to be honest. There's too many factions. There's like, they're good guys and they're bad guys and they're good guys, and it's like, oh, so like half that movie intention was like totally not worth it.
Yeah, like it's not, I guess it's, okay, I gotta pick my words carefully, because it's easy to fall, like it's not confusing, but it's easy to get jumbled up. I should say that. Like, if you're paying attention, you know, of like when they're talking, but like it's really easy to, you know, miss that, you know, if you're like talking or if you're doing anything. Because like
if you're just like you're paying attention to the action. For example, there's one scene where there's,
or if you couldn't hear very well, you know, because there's like a lot of going like explosion or gunfire, and if like you just didn't like hear that line at all, or you didn't catch it because you were busy looking at the explosion, it's like, yeah, you might be like, heck is going on?
Two different plot holes. So at the end of the movie, it's revealed that this criminal like middleman lady, that she's actually working with the government. Well, there's like two plot holes related to her. The first one is that when they're planning the scene or whatever, her plan is to kill like 50 cops.
Yeah.
And then Tom Cruise comes up with like another alternate plan where not all the cops die. But if she's really a good guy, does she have the authority to kill 50 cops? And she just like suggested at the beginning. And then the second plot hole is Tom Cruise goes and kills like 4 of her men. And she talks like, oh, I need to get this girl. She's evil. I'm going to kill her. Well, first of all, they meet without the girl ever showing up, even though she was like, I'm only going to meet if you have this girl. And then second off, are those 4 people like good guys that he just brutally killed? Because
whoops, my bad. I didn't know they were double agents.
or maybe it's just like, you know, she's the only, her and her brother are the only people who are good and everyone else is bad. Either way, it just doesn't make any sense if she's a good guy. And I'll go. You can talk about that, and I'll talk about the finale.
Well, there was just other things like that too. Like, for instance, there's a part towards the middle, I would say, that they put a tracker on Henry Cavill, and they're like, Luther's talking about like, oh yeah, we can trace him in any part of the world, and then like which by the way, in between this, you get they're like, oh, they're already on a plane and they're halfway to their destination. But we can't contact HQ for support, so we're going to have to find our own way to get there. And then somehow they get there at the same time or a little bit before them. And it's like, okay. But then, like, when they're getting close to the area, they're looking at the tracker, and it's like, oh, I lost them. And it's like, wait, didn't you just say you could trace that anywhere because it's satellite? But I don't know. There's just a couple things that, I don't know. It's nitpicking, I guess you could say. But, I mean, I guess that's one of the things you have to look at when viewing this movie.
I think this movie wants to be intellectual, though, so that's why I think that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because that's why I think the critics are like, oh, there's so many twists and you don't know who's who. It's like, yeah, but the story just falls apart and it's kind of garbage.
I think they had twists just for the sake of twists. They weren't really plot related. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when they're like, when people come in and they're like, oh, I'm this person. Oh no, I'm actually with this group. You know? It's like, it felt like
the CIA lady's like, oh, never mind, I don't trust you guys, even though there was proof that he's evil.
Yeah. Also, if the widow, I think that was her title.
Yeah.
If she was actually a CIA informant, why didn't they tell them that information, especially if Henry Cavill was CIA, you know? Like, why didn't they tell that going in? Like, because, I mean, she was supposed to meet with the Lars character, and Ethan Hunt took the Lars persona, but obviously she would know that
I don't know. There's a lot of different things.
I don't know. Like, that subplot, to me, it feels like the casino plot in The Last Jedi. It just feels like if it wasn't there, it wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, so my last problem with the film is the finale. So like what Josh said last, the finale is so dumb. It's they're on two helicopters, and they're like chasing each other, and Henry Cavill's got like a 50 cal, and he's like shooting out the window of the helicopter, and he hits Tom Cruise's helicopter, and he starts losing fuel and all that. Well, then, if I remember correctly, Tom Cruise crashes into their helicopter like midair, and then they crash, and he crashes to the back of the helicopter, so like the propellers or whatever, they actually like hit his windshield, but somehow he survives, and then he crashes and they crash, and then after that happens, like the helicopters crash again.
It's like 400 feet. They're getting rolled,
and then they like roll and they fall, and then all these things happen. It's probably like 2 minutes of like them crashing and
yeah. It's just like, I mean, I understand like when they get to the final fight and it's Henry Cavill's character and then Tom Cruise and they're fighting. I understand that it shouldn't be like epic because I mean they just went through that. So I guess you could be like, well, you're talking about realism. But then you're wanting to forsake realism for the final album. It's like, yeah, but that's not the thing, though, because it's obvious that Tom Cruise has the upper hand the whole time during their little fight, and I just feel like it should have been a little bit more even because they were both thrown from helicopters,
Yeah,
so,
I know. It was.
I don't know. There's several factors. This is when it comes down to opinions because you can argue it either way. But for me, it just felt a little less underwhelmed because, and even in the bathroom scene, like it was probably my favorite part of the film, but even then I'm like, well, Henry Cavill was supposed to be like one of the brains of this anarchy thing, and like the CIA said like he was the best assassin they had, and he just gets wrecked.
Yeah, they get wrecked 2-on-1. Yeah. And
so,
the final thing that really bothered me about the film was Henry Cavill's. He's supposed to be a terrorist, and he's supposed to have like a cause that he's fighting for.
Yeah, and he's the only one that actually has a cause.
Yeah,
like the main.
Except he's like super fanatical. Like, I'm gonna drop nukes to do this about the world, and we have to establish a new world order. But then he like doesn't care about it that much at the same time. So it's like he's like super fanatical, but like we totally forget that he has those motivations like 5 minutes later in the film because they never cover it.
I don't know. There's and then there's also some tropes to like villain tropes that they have in like action movies where they're like, oh, I'm going to tie up one of the heroes and then I'm not going to kill him even though I'm planning on killing them like 3 minutes from now from the bomb.
And I have a gun in my hands.
Yeah. So it's, I don't know, like, because I could understand, like, the villain mentality if, like, Ethan was going to be there in person and he's like, no, I want to watch. I want you to watch her as, like, the light's consuming us, like the nuclear blaze. But he's not even remotely close to there, and I think his main motivation was just to take away the ones he loves, not really kill Ethan. And so I was like, what does it matter? Like, you could make sure you finish off these people if you just shot them in the face or snapped their neck. But I don't know. It's just one of those things that bothers me sometimes about action movies because it's like, some of these, like, you have to turn off your brain and just enjoy the movie for what it is. But there's scenes like this where it's just so obvious that it could be avoided or done a different way that you're like...
Yeah, and like, I don't want to rant for an hour about.
We're not going to
rant
rant too much longer.
I just one more thing I want to say is the thing about the nukes. They go about like, oh, it's got 3 fail safes. It's impossible to defuse, and then they figure out how to defuse it. And it's like, well, you could have just had either of the bad guys could have just had a detonator that like detonates it immediately,
Yeah, have like a manual switch, and so in case the timer's going down, but like somebody's real close, they're like, oh, nope.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just like, I'm fanatical, but I'm not fanatical enough to die in this nuke.
But I think if you think all these are just nitpicks and like, oh, you're terribly wrong, I will say this though. One of the biggest things that I think anybody can agree with is the scope of the action is nowhere near as like just impressive and like really amazing to watch compared to the older ones, because like in Ghost Protocol, he's climbing on the tallest building in the world, which if I remember right, he actually did that as a stunt. And then also in the last one, was it Rogue Assassin or
Rogue Nation?
Or Rogue Nation. He's on the plane and he actually did that scene too. It's like there's nothing like that. I mean, I guess they do. Like the only one that I can think of is like the helicopter where he's like climbing on it, but it's
been done before.
Yeah, and it's not anything that lives up or beats to the other ones. So I guess, and that's like the main thing you want to see in a Mission Impossible movie.
Yeah, well, this is probably one of our first movie reviews that it's. I wouldn't say it's like a negative, but I would say if you're the people who would watch this is people who want an action movie, I guess, and they don't care about Mission Impossible that much, or people that are like super diehard. I guess you might like the story or the bad guy, but for someone who's pretty casual about the series, or like for example, I have some family members like, oh, is that Mission Impossible movie good? Do I need to watch it? I'm like, no, you'll probably be really confused about what's going on since you're a casual, just casually trying to watch.
Or like
movie.
even for me, like I've seen all of them, but I hadn't seen them in a while. Like because the last one I think I watched was the one in theater, and I haven't watched it since it's been out of the theater. But like I forgot that he had a wife, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right, he had a wife. But then I was like, wait a second. Because they got the two main women in that look so similar that like when he came up behind like in the tent, I was like, wait, why is she dressed different? I was like, oh no, that's his wife. Sorry. It's like, but yeah, like for somebody that doesn't know the thing at all, they'd be like, what?
Yeah, and I also, I also there's like a scene with like 2 or 3 characters. I'm like, I don't care about any of these characters.
Yeah,
I don't have an emotional connection. But I think that's probably enough ranting for this video.
Yeah. Honestly, though, at the end of the day, if you want an action movie that's just, nothing to cry home about, but still fun, then you can watch it. But personally, I would say just go watch one of the older ones.
Or watch Equalizer 2.
Yeah. I want to go see that. We're going to review that too, because it looks good.
Well, I mean, that pretty much sums up our review for Mission Impossible Fallout. I almost forgot the name already. We'll be doing more movie reviews on here on the channel. We got more content on our website, which you can look at in the description. Movies, anime, shows, light novels, games, everything.
Try to do everything.
With that, Addicts, we'll see you next time, and hopefully with a better movie.
Yeah.
See ya.
Later, X.